And a couple of people sent this in, so this is another popular theme. Bret Hart recently opened up about how Sean Waltman and Scott Hall asked him in the mid-90s during a European tour to be the head of the Kliq, but he turned them down. Sean Waltman confirmed the story and went on to say he doesn't think Shawn Michaels knew about it because he wasn't on the same tour. What are your thoughts on Waltman and Hall trying to bring Bret Hart into the Kliq? And how do you think the business would have changed if Bret would have said yes?
Now I've just finished ranting and raving about how everybody in the modern wrestling business has lost their mind. And now here was guys from 25 years ago, major talents, telling stories, talking about whether a couple of guys, whether one guy knew that a couple of his friends had invited a guy that he didn't like to be the leader of their fucking clique so they could ride together. What the fuck? That would be like, oh my God, Eaton and Condrey and Cornette have kicked Tommy Young out of their car and brought in Buddy Landel. What a scandal.
Well, no, I think I was looking at it a little bit differently. So let me tell you how I was looking at it. Maybe you'll see it differently. More like if we have Bret on our side too, we have more power with Vince.
Well, yeah, but the whole thing was so fucking stupid. The fact that Vince let his fucking major stars that he was paying hundreds of thousands of dollars a year to act like a bunch of fucking kids in their fucking boys club treehouse, have this fucking Kliq nonsense. And the fact that they would want to recruit people not only to be in their social group, which would give them standing, but also would give them power in the locker room. But the first thing Ole Anderson would have just fixed that. He'd have fired all 4 of them or 5 of them or however many it was. And that way they'd had no power in the locker room. And who gives a fuck what they do somewhere else because they're a pain in the ass here. It would have not been, as I've talked about, put up with in previous fucking generations unless one or more of those people in the Kliq owned a piece of the fucking company. I've never seen talent allowed to just run roughshod. And the idea that they were asking, hey, Bret, would you come over and be the leader of our Kliq? It's so fucking, oh my God.
Well, I'm sure it wasn't put that way, but yeah.
Well, but what, and Bret, I'm pretty sure, I can't remember. I read his book, but it is 1,700 pages, so I can't remember. But I think he turned them down because he didn't want to hang out with them, didn't he? Most of them.
I don't remember.
I don't know, but just, fuck, my God. Some things, I guess, are always childish.
Beyond the Kliq, what group of guys, what other actual Kliq, caused the most damage or tried to cause? I mean, Buddy Rogers had his Kliq, and there was always the threat that he could cause some problems for the promoter. But I mean, what other Kliq in wrestling history can you think of that really was a troublemaking bunch?
Well, see, I was not in each territory, especially in the 60s and 70s, behind the scenes. I'm sure there was, issues between the Lynn Rossi side and the Jackie Fargo side in Nashville for Nick Goulas and Roy Welch. Everybody's had issues, but most of the time, instead of even, they were never called cliques before, but groups formed based on guys that drew a lot of money that liked to work together, but their power was mitigated somewhat by the fact that the promoter and or the booker was always in charge. Buddy Rogers got more pull than anybody because he was the biggest box office attraction in the country, and he had guys that he liked to work with that were also accomplished, and he drew money with. And he would try to get enough of his crew into a territory that he would have say. I don't know. He probably booked a few places, but I don't know if he was probably more like a Flair that had pull without actually being the booker in most of the places at Rogers because he wouldn't have had the time. Yeah. But, that's not unusual. Bookers always had a crew of guys that they liked and would put up with more bullshit from than most other promoters. Ole always had his favorites, and Jerry Jarrett would have his favorites, and I'm sure Dusty had his favorite, Manny Fernandez. But it wasn't a distraction from business to anywhere near the degree it was with this group in the 90s in the WWF, because they'd never got that far. And it was just ridiculous. And also, I mean, you know, the guys in those days, they weren't, how can I say this and people will understand it? It wasn't over silly foolishness. It was just keeping people out of their spot, but they still went out and had good matches and didn't expose the business if they wanted to and bury shit and bury people that they were expected to try to half-ass draw money with. It was just, you know, it was just irresponsible and unprofessional. Most of the guys in the old days that got in a position where they could fuck other people only did it for professional reasons, not personal.
Our next,
it's actually, isn't it better to be fucked for professional reasons than personal reasons?
better, I guess so. I guess you look at it that way.
Even more understandable or more palatable.
I mean, I always think revenge is in order no matter what. But
well, yes, but at least you can kind of at least tip the hat a little bit. Well, he fucked me because he made a lot of money on it, not he fucked me just because he's an asshole.
Yeah, I guess it is better.